it's a privilege for me to introduce our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Surinder Singh, again, who is a person who believes in this philosophy of perfection for progression. Having worked with Sir, we know Sir emphasizes a lot on perfection. And it is because of this, one of the this attribute, that he has been able to achieve many milestones in his lifetime. Sir is a Vice Chancellor at JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, and before joining JSS, he was a director at National Institute of Biologicals. Sir was also the Drugs Controller General of India. Uh, he was also serving as a director at Regional Drug Testing Laboratory and additional director at CDL, Central Research Institute, Kasoli. Sir has many awards and achievements to his credit. I'm not going to name many of them, but a few. One is, Sir was a Dr. B.C. Roy Memorial Award for 2014, Pharma Bio World Awards in 2011, and Sir also has the repute of being the world's 40 most influential people for 3 consecutive years, that is 2009, 10, and 11. Sir has got a lot of administrative experiences in different government agencies. He has been key in conceptualization, planning, implementation, and coordination of 4 national programs. Sir has also got the credit of being the chairman of the Institutional Development Plan Committee for the Government of Punjab for strengthening of the drugs regulatory control and drug testing laboratory. And he has got a lot of international exposure with the World Health Organization, as well as in USA and many other international bodies of repute. It's a privilege to have you, sir, over here for this talk on giving the future directions of the for the organization, and how we can align our staff for the future directions that the institution envisages. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Good evening to everyone. At the outset, seeking the blessings of His Holiness Swamiji, I offer my respectful pranams to his lotus feet. I extend very warm greetings to respected Dr. C.G. Petsumartji, the Executive Secretary of JSS Mahavidyapeeth, to Dr. B. Suresh, our Honorable Pro-Chancellor, and my greetings to Dr. Manjunath, Registrar of JSS Academy of Higher Education Research, and my greetings to all the principals, head of departments, all the administrative officers, assistant administrative officers, and all the staff, especially from administration, who are online at this conclave for this unique program which has been conceptualized by Dr. Prashant Vishwanath in consultation with our Pro-Chancellor, sir, where we are basically now going to be discussing and talking about the blueprint for the future journey of JSS Academy of Higher Education Research. Now, if you would just recall, one of the main points which Dr. Prashant had basically highlighted even during the previous meeting which we had, leadership meeting, with regard to all the faculty, and now we are having with all our administrative staff. One point which I would like to highlight is multitasking. This is an era of multitasking, and I'll give you one example about it. During my journey of service, I came across one managing director of a pharmaceutical company. And when I interacted with him, he was a very elderly gentleman. So what basically very much impressed me during the conversation was when he said that he was amongst the first Indians to be becoming the managing director of a multinational company. That was some way back, somewhere in the late 70s. He says at that time, all the managing directors used to be the foreign nationals. He was amongst the first one who became the managing director of a multinational company and being an Indian. And I asked him what basically contributed to his reaching to this level. And he quickly, I will just quickly recap what he told me. And this applies to each one of us, whether we are in the administration or we are in the teaching. He said that I joined the company as a very low-level official after doing my B.Pharm, and they just put him as a very low-level person working on the shop floor of the company. But he said that I always made it a point that whenever my supervisor would need any helping hand, I would be there to volunteer, even if it was not my job. If somebody had not come, if he would ask me to do his job, I would do it. I would never say no. Then if sometimes somebody was not there in administration and he asked me to lend a helping hand in the administration and work a little bit extra, I would always take it up. Because he says, I always took these opportunities as a learning experience and basically adding to my personality and to my knowledge also, and making him much more conversant with what is happening in that pharma company. And he said that like this, he became some sort of a very trusted assistant to his supervisor, later on to the manager. And he not only got it working in the production, quality control, quality assurance, but he also said that whenever any work was to be like assigned to anyone with regard to finance, stores, administration, sales, he was there. He was always available to these bosses. So this resulted in his rising very rapidly in his career, because when you rise higher in life, you need to have a more exposure and you have to be conversant with all the aspects of running the industry. And wherever he was posted, he always saw that the industry did very well. And this resulted in his becoming the managing director of that company at a time when very few people used to become the managing director. This is one. Second, very small habit which I learned from my bosses very early in stage. I used to work with a boss. So whenever I would go and meet him, he will always ask me, okay, Surinder, you have come to me. Tell me what are the works which you are wanting from us and where you need your help. So he would take out a slip and he would write down on the papers. So if there are 5 or 6 works, he would have that slip photocopied and give it one to me. You keep it in your pocket. So every time when we used to meet, he would tally which work is done and which work is not done. And if any file was there lying in any section, he would make it a point to see to that the file is cleared and the work is done. In this, the productivity of the organization and the department in whichever I work was always far, far better than any other departments. And these two good qualities, which I saw in other people, I try my best to try to put in my way of working also. And this I thought I should be sharing with you. Now, talking to the topic today, that is with regard to future directions, there are 2-3 things which I would like to share with you before I roll out my presentation. One is that change is an inevitable part of our life. So we should always accept the change with open arms, be very flexible and adaptive, because they say that nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. So it is futile exercise. It is useless. It is wasting our time and energy if we try to resist the change and try to change the tide of time. The time doesn't stop for anyone, and similarly, the change does not stop anyone. And we just had a meeting with regard to, like, we were having a psychiatry department meeting, and one of the faculty overseas, he mentioned a line from very famous novel of Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities. The one which he mentioned was relevant to that session, but the line which I would like to mention over here from this novel of Charles Dickens, from The Tale of Two Cities, is that coming events cast their shadows. So my presentation with regard to future directions is based on this, that the coming events are already casting their shadows. So it's better we wake up, we seize the opportunity rather than resist. And rather than resisting the change, we should become the part of the change. I'm just trying to fix my slide. Yeah. So as I was saying, the world around is changing. And what we have seen is that because of this COVID, there has been a disruptive change happening all around the world. And there is a paradigm shift, the way we work. And this has not left any part of our day-to-day life untouched. Now, this is a type of because we are basically all from academic institution. So this is how the Gurukul used to be there. And this is how the pre-COVID classroom is there. And one we see on the right side on our screen, the laptop, the online, that is the present. And the future will be slightly much more different. And I am happy that I have observed, and I've been a part of all three also. In a very young age in my own village, though I was just 3 or 4 years of age, there was a school like this, the one which you are seeing on the left side, just in a village. Though I was not a student, but I would go and sit with the students and see what they are being taught. And we have also all been seeing the pre-COVID, and now we are seeing the COVID era. And I will not hang on much for it. Coming to what is the change of the things which we are conceiving at JSS Academy of Higher Education Research and where we are at the moment. Now, the last session which we had was with regard to the faculty. Now we have this session for what we call, or which I would like to call, that IS officers. The IS is called as the steel frame of India. But I would say that our administration is the steel frame of JSSHER. It is on this frame, all the activities of JSSHER are there. Things may come and go, but it is this steel frame and the three pillars of this steel frame, that is administrative heads, office staff and support staff, which basically are the foundation of the organization. And if these are strong, then the block, that's why I call JSS Academy of Higher Education Research at the top, then it is in secure and safe hands. So it is very, very important. These foundations, they are strong and they remain strong for times to come. And it is this steel frame which has played a very, very important role along with our teaching faculty in the journey of our university from 2008 to 2021, that we have a lot of laurels which we have achieved over a period of time. And all these are there on your screen. This all has been achieved not only with the unstinted support and effort of the teaching faculty, but also the support which have been relentlessly given by our administrative staff. So I think this is something which we all can be very proud of, and which we can feel that this is something which stands out. Now, if you see, I'll just take out all these achievements which were there between last 13 years. There are two major achievements which I would like to show. That is, in 2018, we had NAAC A grade, and now accreditation is A+. Now, that means relentlessly we are progressing and doing better and better. Similarly, in NIRF ranking, in 2015, we were at 35th rank, 2016, 43rd, 2017, 37, and in 2020, we are at 33rd. So what we intend to say is we have always remained the top 50 universities of the country. And this all, I think the administrative staff can proudly feel that they are being a part of it. And this is like QS World University ranking in 2021. Last year, we were in 300 and 350 band. Now we have moved down to 291 to 300 band. So that means our university as an organization is progressing, and our administration across the length is basically standing shoulder to shoulder and providing all the backup office support which is required to make these achievements. Now, what has been the journey since the university was established? Because why I want to share this slide with all of you is, see the quantum of work which has increased and the quantum of work which has been handled by our administrative staff. Now, in 2008, we had 350 faculty, 2,000 students, 300 support staff, 20 programs, 3 crore in research projects, and 100 publications. This in 2013 is 500 faculty, 3,400 students, 450 supporting staff, 26 programs, and 10 crores in such projects and 450 publications. And this has all happened within 5 years. And in another 8 years, if we see, this has gone to 550 plus faculty, 6,000 students, 650 plus supporting staff. Now the number of programs, which was 20 in 2008 and 2013, it was just 26 programs. Now it is 174 programs, and 30 plus crore is going to such projects. We are earmarking almost 5% of our budget, total budget for search. And this year, in 2020, last year, we crossed a line of 1,000 publications. It was almost 1,200 publications. And out of that, large number of publications were in Scopus, more than 600 publications. So this is a progress which is happening over there. And if we see in 2021 where we stand, that new and innovative programs, there is a surge, upgradation of the infrastructure, increased student strength, and we are ranking highly both nationally and globally. And we are also basically increasing our global footprints and engaging with various institutions at the global level also. Now, these are the various building blocks. These are the blocks which are basically constituting the steel frame of our organization. And these I've just scattered and put them across so that you can see them, that they are the ones which are basically, when they come together, when we see them in alignment, they form some sort of like a sequential events. Like if we see from admission on the right side to examination and graduation, and this is all support provided at the lower blocks which are there. But the one which links the admission, academics, research, hospital administration, information technology, and examination in one sequence, and also the support system which is extended to all these activities at the level of authorities, finance or developments, or quality and statistics, or the student support system or HR. The connecting framework is of administration. It is administration which acts as an anchor, linking up and integrating each and every activity. Why I'm emphasizing all these points is because you should be very much be aware and should feel proud of it, that you are the basically the pivot, which is basically the growth of our organization. Now, our Pro-Chancellor, sir, during the beginning of this year, he laid down his own vision and a roadmap for us the next decade. I showed you the journey over the last decade from 2000, almost it was more than a decade, 2003 to 2008 to 2021, that we have come a long way. And Pro-Chancellor sir has now laid out the roadmap in 2000 from 2021 to 2030, and our administration, it has got a very, very important role to play in all the 8 pinnacles of success which sir has highlighted for us to achieve. Now, these 8 pinnacles are academic acceleration, research surge, collaborations, global engagement, good governance, infrastructure, information and digital technologies, sustainability, and finance. Now, I'll take each one of them individually and try to see what role is there for administration to play. Because if this has to become a reality, it cannot be brought about only by the efforts of our teaching faculty. Administration has to rise to the occasion, has to reorient itself, has to re-engineering its way of working itself, and cast itself in the shape of the things which are coming and which are also even happening at the moment. Now, this all will lead us to our new vision, that is Varuna campus. Because what we were seeing in this slide, basically the heart of the organization from now 2021 to 2030, all these activities will be geared up so that we are ready to move into our new campus and the new vision for which is being unfolding, that is our Varuna campus. And in this Varuna campus, why we are saying we have to be basically recasting our way of thinking, recasting our whole system of administration, is that the challenges are huge. And these challenges I would like to share with you, that from 550 plus faculty which we have got at the moment, we will be having around 2,000 faculty in 2030. From 6,000 students, we'll go to 20,000 students. See the enormity of the work which is going to be handled by the administration. From 650 support staff, we'll go to 2,000 supporting staff which will be there. From 174 programs, if this is 200, maybe we go much more. This, because this number would be almost, I would say, this goes even beyond 300 to, or it might be anywhere between 300 to 400 programs. And from 30 crores in such projects, it will almost touch about 200 crores in such projects. And our publications will also touch more than 2,000 publications every year. And in this whole exercise, we intend to be most respected university, ranked highly both nationally and globally. And awards we should try to achieve, which should make our university stand out. And this all will be supported by the world-class infrastructure, which is just, I think, going to be a reality over the next 3-4 years. And in this whole thing to give a focus to entire our administrative staff, we have to align ourselves at each level, each activity of ours: admission, academics, examination, finance, IT integration, quality and statistics, and journal administration. Now, to keep my presentation very focused, I'll be trying to highlight in my presentation what administration needs to focus and realign itself as far as admission process is concerned. What was our admission process strategy in the past? What will be our admission strategy in the future, and how we should be doing it? Similarly, for academics and examinations and all the other activities which are there. What was happening between 2018 to 2020 till now is going to be soon another 1 year a thing of past. And we have to adapt to the change, not to resist the change, but be flexible and adapt it as soon as possible over there. And I feel very confident that all of you will basically embrace the challenge, because as a test case, when our Pro-Chancellor Sir had presented his vision, which I just mentioned earlier for 2021 to 330, this all hinges on these three basically activities. These are the underlying, if you see that these are all the, I would say, bullet trains. And if this bullet trains and express, because Sir had used the word exponential growth. Now, if it has to be exponential growth between 21 to 30, then these are the two tracks which are going to take us on exponential growth. One is digitization, other is digitalization. And on both of this will run the train of our automation. This automation will take us, we have to put our university into an automatic mode also, like autopilot. It should drive on its own and drive us to the journey of 2030. Now, what I mean by digitization, GSS, HER and all its constituent colleges and its department have to become paperless. All old records have to be digitized, and basically we have to see to it that very minimal amount of paper which is actually required is being used, and all our work is done by incorporating all the elements of e-office. And we being a private university, I think we should be able to put it in place, because what I've seen is always they say government is the last to change. But I'm coming from the government system where I've seen in the Nirman Bhavan itself that right from a section officer to the secretary to the minister, files move by e-office. Any document, any file which we send to the ministry for approval, it is first digitized. And an e-file is created. And this e-file moves right up to the minister and comes back to us. And the approval which we also get, it is not having any signatures on it. It just has a digital signature and a tick that the file is approved. So this is a process being followed in Government of India's offices across the country. Why not at a GSS-HER? So this is, I think the time has come, we go in for digitization. That's why I've always been emphasizing that we have to have a holistic strategy worked out for our IT infrastructure to be created. And that's why we discussed about the Pro-Chancellor Sir, and we declared this 2021 as year for digitalization. And this has to be year for digitalization, not only for the paper, not only be mentioned on these conclaves and forums, it has actually been translated into reality. And I'm happy to see that some part of it is actually happening also. Second component is digitalization. And this also I'll be touching. And both of these basically would cater to automation. And this automation will see to it that our productivity goes up. Our response time is much faster, and we are able to provide better experience to the students who are seeking admissions over here, the students who are studying in our university, the students who pass out and they become alumni. And along with the students, their parents also have a wonderful experience interacting with this university. All information about their students is available to them on a flick of button on their mobile or on their laptop or on their desktop, wherever they want. So it is anytime, anywhere, information is accessible to the parents about their wards. So what more we can offer over here? So all these three things would make it possible for us. Now coming to the admissions. Now, this is already being rolled out as far as our university is concerned. And I think we are having a series of meeting this year itself also. And we had one just about 2 months back also, that this digital admission process, it has been rolled out this year itself. And if you find, you will see that already our CIO is in the process of setting up this kiosk. So students, they need not apply by proper application. They can go to this kiosk and apply online, or sitting in the lobby of the building itself, or sitting at home, or wherever they are, they can also apply through their laptops or through the desktop. Now, what are the various elements of digital admission process? Why I want to share with you is that this process, everybody in the administration should be aware of it. Whether you are in pharmacy college or medical college or in our university, this is a process which is going to be followed. And in this, before we go to the step one, the digital marketing and social media marketing is the one which is going to highlight our organization, our university, all constituent colleges across the length and breadth of the country. Because when I'm talking of digital admission process, in this, I'll also be catering to the online admissions also for our ODL and OL programs also. Now, first of all, there is online application and tracking at the various stages. So this already, I'm very happy to say that our CIO, along with our admission section, he has very nicely put all this process which you are seeing on the screen, from online application to personalized video interviewing and screening, eligibility check, merit list and wait list generation, provisional letter allotment, digital payment of tuition fees, full or installments, and final enrollment letter. All this is in place over there. And this now will be tested and validated during this year. We'll see how it works, and maybe we might need to fine tune it and make it as a wonderful experience for the students, that they feel like enrolling at JSSHR, because it will be so student friendly that it will be a seamless process for them. And this all exercise can be completed within a very short time without any hassles, without any running around or trying to find out that how they should be trying to get the admissions in our JSSHR. So this is the digital admission process which is there. And next is our blended academics. Now, this is the second thing which I would like to highlight over here, is that already we have got a blended mode of learning in our university, and this I will elaborate in the next slide. Then we also have got this virtual laboratories. Basically, the semblance of it is already being set up. Simulation unit, this also I want to share with you, because many of you may not be aware that we have got one of the best simulation units in the whole country as such. And not only country, in the whole Asia Pacific region also, we are having the best, one of the best simulation facility over there, which has been set up at a cost of 22 crores. So this is something we should be very proud of it. And I thought we must share with our administration and our all our people working over there, because you people might be handling these files. All approvals for this simulation, whether it is 22 crores or whatever amount is fitted is into that, all has gone through your hands. You should be aware of it, how you are basically the building blocks, the bricks of building the modern and I think the futuristic JSSHR. The next is a learning management system, augmented reality, and media room. Media room is going to be our future classroom. This is the one which is going to basically connect all our students, not only within India, but all over the world with our faculty. Now, how this is going to be achieved, this I will share with you. Now, what is blended learning? It's a combination of both online and face-to-face teaching. I think more or less you are all aware of it. That is theory and online, practical and skill training, this is offline, then e-laboratories for online learning, and internationalization and globalization. And this already, I think most of you directly, indirectly, you are involved with it and you are well conversant and aware of it. Now, this is our simulation lab. This is what I wanted to share with you. This actually gives a real life-like experience to a person who is basically working on a knee joint. He can actually feel also the tendons and also have a feeling of it. It actually gives the experience as if you are actually doing the intervention yourself also. And in this simulation lab, we have also got a virtual reality also. In this, what happens is the person wears those goggles and you feel you are in operation theater. You can also see that the nurse is standing around, and you feel that instead of that room, you are in operation theater and you are actually doing a process over there. What it actually does is that it basically trains our healthcare professionals, whether it is our laboratory technicians, these are the assistants who are there in the hospitals, or it is the nurses, or our interns, or our PG students, or even our faculty, that they can enhance and basically hone their skills without putting the patients on the risk. So the patient doesn't have to undergo any sort of problem, because all these skills can be basically honed in these simulation labs which have been set up in our campus. Next, coming to the blended academics, another element of this is the learning management. Sorry, forgive me for the spellings. It is a learning management system, not learning management system. So as our ESR had pointed out, that we should be very quality conscious, and this is what I think he actually meant when we had that reporting, the R was missing. So in this also, we have to be very cautious that when we make a slides of the global level, global standards, we have to have this learning management system. And it is all the academic process from attendance to the internal assessment are performed on JSSU Online. And till now, this was all manually done. This was done all in the registers, and they were all being maintained by you. But now this all is happening online, and you know that you are all a part of it, and you're all very quite familiar with it, that this is the new way of our working, and this is working very well in your hands. Now, this is, as I said, the future of our classrooms. This is the media room. So I wanted to show you that these media rooms are basically being used for recording our online videos for our online classes. And these are used for all our online programs, whether it is under eVidya Bharati or Arogya Bharati. And here we have got students coming from different parts of the world also, and some of them from our own country also. And this blended academics, that is media room recording, I think we should not be restricting only to our students. We should pass it on to our administration also. So we can record with videos for the various lectures, for the various topics for our own administration, so that they can watch these recordings in their own time, own convenience, to basically enhance their skills, whether it is with regard to handling the things online and whether handling the things offline. So this all can be made use of this media room. And I would request you that whenever you get time, please do go and have a look at these media rooms, because sometimes you should go around and see what all exists in your university. And also you should sometimes take out time in the administration which you are there. You should also try to figure out where is this simulation labs, where are these media rooms, because then what happens, you feel a part of the organization. And then you also feel proud of yourself that you are playing a very, very important and a vital role in seeing that these things become a reality. This is another component of our academic activities, that is an examination. Now, the whole examination system from pen and paper, it has moved to the digital mode. And I congratulate entire digital, this team of CIO, and also our team of our the controller of examination. I think over last 1.5 years, they have worked very hard and almost mastered the technique of digital examination. And this is all in-house, which has been achieved over here. It started as a very humble exercise somewhere in June last year, but then it has picked up, and now it's a full-fledged digital examination and evaluation system has been put in place. And our controller of examination has also shared a presentation in this regard. And this includes online Viva Voce, whether it is for UGs, PhD or PG students, online proctored examinations. So this is some sort of a distance invigilation, like students sitting at home in the different parts of the country or different parts of the world. They can appear on the exams, and it's a proctored exam where all security features are there, so that you can make it sure that students are not copying and not basically indulging in any of the activities which is not desirable. then this digital examination also has resulted in digital paperless evaluation. Now, the whole effort, as I said earlier, those two tracks which I mentioned you of the train, one is digitization and digitalization. Ultimately, both of them will result in our university at some point of a time becoming entirely paperless. And I would say that from today itself, we should basically take a pledge that some part of our activity, or even if there is an activity from A to Z also, or A to F also, we should try to make it that at least some part of the activity A to C or A to M is paperless. And rest of the activities, if paper is required, we can make use of it, because this will basically embark on us trying to achieve it in the shortest possible time. And we really make it as a reality rather than just seeing it as a presentation over here. And this digital examination also has got complete online submission and evaluation of thesis and dissertation, complete online communication for all the examinations, examiners, and ultimately results in digital certificates, archiving and digitalization. So the entire process of a student appearing in the exam in a digital mode, his submission of the paper being sent to the examiner for evaluation is online, the marks are communicated online along with the paper, the compilation is online, and the results are declared online, and certificate is delivered online. And this all has become a reality. And I think we need to congratulate all the staff. And this all controller of examination may not be doing with his own hands, and neither our CIO would be doing with his own hand. It is you people who form the backbone, who are working in that section. It is you people who have done it. And this is the reality, because our management, whether it is CIO or controller of examination, they will give you guidance, they will do a hand holding with you, they will sit with you. But ultimately, it is our own people, as I said, the administration staff, whom I said as a steel frame of our JSSHR, it is they who have delivered all this, what we see on the screen, under the leadership, of course, of our controller of examination and CIO. And this is the next step. I think our finance division also needs to be appreciated. And this is a shape of the things which is already happening. That is, we are making use of our RFID, that is radio frequency identification card for payment within the campus, also using it for attendance and library access. And I think you all must be aware that ID cards which you are carrying in your pocket, it has got in it, and this chip can be used to access many of the facilities which are available within our own university. And even when I went to media room along with Dr. Prashant, he opened the media room with the help of this his ID card, because there is a RFID chip, and that is basically aligned with his card, so it opens up the moment he shows it. And basically RFID is basically using radio waves for transfer of the data. So it's basically makes our life much easier and much more simpler, and we don't have to go through a long laborious process of whether it is making payments or marking attendance in the registers or thing, or accessing library or other facilities in the campus or outside the campus. Next, coming to the IT integration. So as I mentioned, from admission to graduation, this is a theme, and we have already rolled it out this year, that we are basically trying to be ambitious that right from admission to graduation, everything should happen online, and we should have a technology to be integrated into it. So I think the watchword for all of you is digital technology, digital technology, digital technology. That is the one which is going to take care of all the 8 points which I put in to take our university to pinnacle. And this digital technology is embedded in all the activities. Once you have mastered it, I don't think there will be any problem with you. And in this regard, as our Pro-Chancellor sir has also mentioned, we had given you the software to practice. And I had just informally walked into one of our administrative staff, and I was not very confident that what would have happened. But I was awestruck and highly impressed and amazed also, the enthusiasm with each one, the way each one of you showed me your performance, Many of you called me to your table and asked, sir, see my typing speed, see my accuracy. And what I found is that majority of you had typing speed of more than 50 words per minute, which is of a global standard, let me tell you. This is a global benchmark, 50 words per minute. And accuracy was more than 90%. Of course, the global benchmark for accuracy is 100%. So I am, like we say, we just listened to our Pro-Chancellor says, progression and perfection. So we should basically target progression, because sometimes what happens is trying to be too perfect, it basically is a very stressful thing. I always feel if we are above 85 or 90%, we should be more than satisfied. And because if you try to be perfect, then what happens is you become a type A personality. And that type A personality, already we are under a lot of stress. So it adds to more stress to our physique. But if we can score 100%, we should do it. But it should be more of a pleasure than of a pressure. So we should do it in our own, it should be more of a fun for us. That, okay, I want to push my mark from 90 to 100, but without any stress. But up to 90, yes, we should try to make our best efforts. Then, as I mentioned, office automation, this is going to be the scheme of things. You would have seen that if you go to Bank of Baroda or State Bank of India, you will find 30 people or 20 people or 15 people sitting over there and half of them gossiping with each other. And if you go to Citibank office or if you go to Standard Chartered, there will be only 3-4 people. And the turnover, their turnover will be far, far more than those 10-15 people sitting in any other government bank, because there is office automation and they are well conversant with this. Their productivity is very high, output is very high, accuracy is very high, customer service is very good. I think that's office automation, what we are looking. So that when any student, whether he walks into our administrative section of our medical college or pharmacy college, or our life sciences, it is not that he is not attended to, or he has asked you come next time. No, he should be attended and his job should be done there itself. That's what we're looking at it. And in this office automation, paperless digital workflow and it will be very important. And for this, we require digital, we have to have a digital overhaul. Let me tell you, it is not that we want to have a digital thing done in a piecemeal manner. This is not going to help us. We have to have a holistic roadmap for ourselves over the next 3 years. What we want in digital technology to be introduced, whether it is hardware, software, along with the manpower, and the manpower which is there, that also needs to be trained. And I think this is one thing which I've always been telling Dr. Prashant. We need to retrain our people, assess them, bring the best people in their respective areas, whether within the country. We can even source people from outside globally without even paying for it, because some people are more than willing to help us and try to train our manpower over here. Because, and what I would look forward is that by end of this month, Dr. Prashant puts up to us for consideration a well-structured training roadmap for our administration section. That is one thing. Secondly, we started with the exercise, Registrar and myself, we started with the exercise of interacting with the administrative officers and administrative officers and listening to them. I think the COVID thing will always be there. I think rather than wait for another face-to-face interaction, we should rather have an online interaction, because these things should not be allowed to fizzle. There has to be a seamless integration of our administrative officers, assistant administrative officers, and our administrative staff with our faculty also. Because sometimes we feel, oh, if I interact with them and ask them too many things, then I don't know what they might rake up. Let them rake up. But we will address those issues with the passage of time, because if we listen to the people, that itself addresses many of the issues. And many times what I have found is that our apprehensions, our anxieties are misplaced. We have got our own notions in our mind, but once we start talking with each other, I think many of them can be laid to rest. And this is what I would like to Now, this is another quality and statistics. So digital performance and based assessments, all our APWRs, like annual performance reports, are going to become digital. Then data digitization with their online reporting, both from constituent colleges and university departments. This is what we are looking at. The data capture system for rankings and ratings, so that our deputy director BQS doesn't have to run around to look for information. All information is available to her on a flick of button, and she can filter out the information for different ranking agencies. For Times Higher Education, it is required in a different format. For QS, it is different format. NARF, it is different. NAC, it is different. So all that, I think that flexibility needs to be built in our system as such. Now, this is one of the things which I wanted to share with you. We had this WHO meeting only yesterday only, and there what happened is, this is important for general administration. There is this Andhra Pradesh Medical Tech Zone. The CEO of that medical tech zone, the managing director and CEO, he was discussing with us. And during discussion, he said, I will take you for a visit of my Andhra Pradesh Medical Tech Zone. And immediately he said, we have got CCTV all over this 8 acres of facility which is there. So, and we were discussing about in vitro diagnostic medical, these in vitro diagnostic medical devices, that is IVD kits which are there. And immediately he switched on and started sharing the screen. And we could see just within fraction of seconds, the Andhra Pradesh Medical Tech Zone, people walking around the various buildings over there. Then he said that, okay, now I will take you and give you a feel of our in vitro diagnostic facility in our Andhra Pradesh Medical Tech Zone, where 1,000 people are working and assembling these in vitro diagnostics. And just next flick of button, and we are there looking at a big hall where 1,000 people are sitting and actually working over there. And he showed us, and he could even focus on the kit also with the help of this virtual eye or the camera which are there over there. And like this, we again have a view of the facility where the semiconductors were being made, which is a different facility. So we had a round of the facility just within 4 or 5 minutes, sitting in our rooms, and he's sitting in his room and taking us for a round of the entire this Andhra Pradesh Medical Tech Zone. Now that is the virtual eye, that is the technology which we are talking of. That is on, like, so that is something which we will look forward. So like whenever I go abroad or we are going in any part of the country, I can just log into my laptop or my presentation and show to people, sir, this is our JSSHR. This is my simulation lab. Without even walking, I can show him the simulation lab where the people are working. Or some of our assets, like this is our hospital where we have got, this is our OPD. And actually giving the feel of the experience that people are walking in and out from that OPD, or giving an experience of a pharmacy college laboratory which is there. So that is what we are looking at. And this is the shape of the things which is going to come. And this technology is going to be playing a very, very important role. And whether it is our records or digital maintenance or technology assisted. So when we are talking of a vision, the vision is going to be very big. It is not going to be restricted to a very narrow area of activity which is going to there. If we are talking of transformation of our own university and making it as one of the global destination for the students from world over, and also trying to figure out that we become the one which is most talked about, because the most important thing is our reputation. So if we do all these activities, all these 8 pinnacles of success, which our Pro-Chancellor sir had rolled out for us in beginning of this year, I think this all will become a reality. And I am confident it shall become a reality. It is just a matter of time, because I have myself seen the changes happening. And the biggest change which I have seen is digital evaluation, digital examination and evaluation. And now I am seeing a big change happening in our admission process. The success story of digital examination and evaluation is being repeated in our admission process. So I'm very confident that we have got very, very competent people in our team. Only thing what we require is train and retrain them. And this is the train. What I feel is that JSSHR is ready to board this super bullet train much faster with a track of digitization, and train is leaving for the future. So have you got the boarding pass? And you might have in your mind, what is the boarding pass? So boarding pass is, if you want to catch the train, then you have to train well. And we will not leave you alone. We will do the hand holding for you. We will train you, retrain you, equip you. And as I was mentioning sometimes back, that if there are horses tied to any like carriage, if there's a horse carriage, it has got a 6 horses. The carriage cannot run faster than the slowest horse. So we have to bring everybody to a same level so that we are in a position to catch the train, a train of exponential growth, a train of globalization, a train of glory to future. All the best and hats off to our administrative staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for showing us the growth what JSS has made, how the administrative and support staff have played an important role in the growth of JSS, and what roles they can play for the future growth of the JSS Academy of Higher Education Research, as well as all the other JSS institutions. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. I'm sure a lot of animations and technology being incorporated into your presentation, and it was a very interesting and awesome session. So thank you, sir.